Marcus Conte, former sanitation enforcement agent for the city of New York, reporting once again, fighting out corruption, retaliation, discrimination. So it's November something. November 11, 2017 in the AM. Ooh, breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Maybe not so breaking news, but a new bit of information came in. Ooh, guess who gave it to us? Chuck Palumbo. Pow! Oh! Woo! Chuck Palumbo. Chuck Palumbo comes in with a hits a home run on this one, right? So what we're going to listen to today is we're going to call this the Burke file, the Burke strikes again. Jerky Berkey. The reason this guy is still employed for DSNY is beyond anybody's. It's anybody's guess right now. This guy should have been fired. A year ago, right? He's still breaking the law, breaking state and federal law, instituting a quota. Real scumbag, for lack of a better term. So here we have, right? We got to roll the tape back one more time. In February 2017, WABC Eyewitness News broke the story of the 10-ticket quota. Right? It was Ortega gave a 22-minute talk in the roll call room in Manhattan. I was in the room. I was an agent, and he basically gave a qualification. He told all about the quota, where it came from, blah blah blah. Right? And ABC took the best of what he said and told the public about it. So shortly after that, damage control. Right, that's what you're going to hear today. Damage control. This is Burke, snake in the grass. He's a snake. Burke, snake in the grass. Now he's going around from district to district, from zone to zone. So the pseudo-intellectual, I didn't say that there was 10 tickets and captains and sergeants. What do you think? See, I always said Burke was like, I didn't do it. That's not his. You're going to hear his real voice now. You're going to hear the guy, conspirator number one in the 10-ticket quota at DSNY. Right? It all falls on this guy's shoulders. Right? So you're going to hear him now do his little, side step, and he's going to try to, he's trying to hoodwink you. He's trying to hoodwink you. You watch, you'll see. All right, so let's go. We're gonna just play it, but so this is him in the zone.
So,
right? We're gonna just listen.
That's really the gist of my whole being here is just to mention that we must read this command order if you haven't already. And if you read this and you do what it says, that's your job. Do a full day.
So apparently there's some sort of, he's giving out some sort of piece of paper with a command order saying, well, this is your job, right? But yesterday the job was go run people over with 10 tickets, and if you didn't do it, we're gonna take away your car, put you on foot, we're gonna fakely write you up, and we're gonna treat you like Conte, we're gonna run you that fuck out of this place. Right? But now it's like, well, just read the command order and do what you're supposed to do, and we'll have no problem. So let's listen.
Work, document on your 144 what you do. You'll get backtracks during the day from.
Okay, so right there he says the 144. He says document on your 144. Now, every agent documents on their 144. 144 is a daily log in English, right? It's a form that whenever you do something or say something or something happens, you write it down, and then at the end of the day you hand it in, right? It's documented evidence of what you did in that day, right? Now, in my case, they refuse to release them, but they do exist. And if they should somehow disappear, that in the 206 book, then we have authentic, unequivocal obstruction of justice. Let's keep listening.
Supervisor.
I'll try to shut up.
And that's it. You go home.
It's hard because.
And hopefully you enjoy your day at work and you're not getting hassled by the community or anyone else.
Not getting hassled by the community or anyone else. No, getting hassled by you. You're the one hassling people with the fake write-ups and the bullshit.
doing your job, because it's a hard job.
It's a hard job.
How many people have actually read this? Okay, so we have 3 people, which is good. And most of the agents that didn't read it are agents that have been here a while. So what I would suggest is they do read it and take guidance from it. If you have any questions, just speak to your supervisor. So, any
Gets good.
questions or comments?
Gets good. Watch.
So the regular recycling people, they're not to write 10 tickets a day. If they see 10 tickets, they write 10 tickets, of course, but it's not.
No, there's no, the key thing here is there's no number.
Okay, so right there, right? Here's what you just heard was an agent ask a question for the recycling, the people early in the morning. Is there a 10-ticket quota? Because there always has been a 10-ticket quota. So what she's basically asking, Mr. Burke, is there still a 10-ticket quota? And he says, well, there's no number. See, he's doing that, the snake. He's like the snake oil salesman, the politician. He's trying to confuse the issue, right? He's trying to be like, oh, no, there's no number.
There's no target.
No
Yesterday, the day before, 10 years ago, I'm sure that's the mindset that the agent and the supervisors had.
So he's trying to say that all his emails enforcing the 10-ticket quota is now just a mindset. It's like, oh, the agents and the supervisors had a mindset. No, you're fucking lying in front of a room full of people that are afraid of you. That's the problem, that they're afraid of you, and that they because if they say anything, if they speak up, they're gonna get 10 fake write-ups and thrown out the door.
But when you're out there, the only thing that we can ask you to do is if you see a violation, you issue it. If you don't, walk away, and that's exactly what it says in here. For you to...
I'm gonna do a lot of commentary on this, but what I'm gonna do is I'll put the whole unadulterated clip, this whole thing, at the end. Okay, so you're gonna have to listen to me, and I'm gonna tell you what I see and what I hear, and then at the end, if you want to listen to it by itself, I'll just put it up. But again, this is Chuck Palumbo, man. Thank you so much, Chuck Palumbo. Thank you so much.
For you to feel like that, you shouldn't. You should really know that I'm there to do a good day's work. If someone, now the supervisors, it's a double-edged sword for the supervisor, because in their civil service standards, they have the requirement to think about productivity. It's actually mentioned in their civil service description of their job. So what does that mean? That means that they have to be aware of what their agents are doing. And that's it. Their job is to backtrack. Their job is to help you go out there and...
See, one of the key things is they use this word productivity as a replacement for quota, right? But it's a quota. It's 10 tickets. It's if you're not writing 10 tickets, you're low productivity. If you write more than 10 tickets, you're productive, right? That's what productivity means. That's code word for write 10 tickets or we'll bust your ass.
Look for areas that could be dirty. Their job is to put you in a low scorecard area where there's more potential for a filthy city, because really our job is to help keep the city clean. And that's really it. And I know this is a totally different model.
See, now this is the first time I'm ever hearing any of them say that our job is to keep the city clean. It's always been generate revenue for the city. That's our function. Write tickets, go home, right? Now all of a sudden, because they got exposed, because ABC exposed them for the frauds they actually are, now this is damage control. This is snake oil salesmanship. Shady.
Mindset. So it's kind of like in the history of enforcement, it's a staircase, and we're just reaching another one. So this is something that isn't going to sit in the minds of the agents in 5 minutes or 20 minutes after I leave. This will take a few days, maybe a few weeks. The sergeants have to adjust. Everybody's got to adjust to the new standard. So
The new standard. So now what is the new standard? The new standard is go away from running people over with tickets and do what? Do what? He doesn't really say keep the city clean, but what is productivity? Right? He doesn't define it. He doesn't even know what it is because these are jerky managers that have no experience managing people. They have no experience keeping a city clean. They have no policies whatsoever to actually do that. All it is if someone complains about a mess, they go, and if they see the mess, they write the ticket. That's all they know. They don't. That's it, right? So this is the new vision, right?
But, I had the deputy chief come up. He found the zone to be in great shape. Agents doing their work, sergeants doing their work. So I don't have anything negative to say. It's just to make you know that, no one should mention target, number, quota, anything like this. So if they do, call me directly. Email me. Call me on the phone.
So now what he's doing is in front of a room full of people, white shirts, captains and sergeants. He's saying that if any of these sergeants say quota or write 10 tickets, you come directly to me. Now, he's the one who told them to make the 10 ticket quota. And be honest, you guys are a bunch of fucking cowards, right? You letting this guy come in here and spew this crap. Because you're afraid of him, right? You're afraid of him. You got to stop the fear, right? If I'm showing you anything at all whatsoever, is that you expose them. You don't hide from them. You say you go right up into their face and say, look, you gave the quota. Here's your goddamn emails. You did this, and now you come in here and saying to the agents, go around us if we do our job and come to you. So what? So you could say that the supervisors did the quota. It's the sergeants, captains, lieutenants. You guys are if all you care about is the little star on your shirt, and a little bit of extra money you get for your sergeant and captain or whatever the hell you get. Right? You guys are part of the problem. You're causing this. Now you're the problem, right? Because now you know the situation. You let this liar come in here and spew all this bullshit, and you don't do anything about it. The room's quiet. It's almost quiet. It gets a little noisy, but it's almost quiet.
Let me know.
Let me know.
That's I think the fairest thing to do. Just really have an open door. If the sergeants are being bugged by their lieutenants or their captains, you call me directly.
Call me directly.
Same thing with the agents. If you think you're being treated unprofessionally and you're not being treated within the context of a command order like this, that's wrong. We can't expect any more from anybody other than this. And however the trends go, that's manager's job. The managers can look at trends. If I'm an agent, I'm going to know what I do. I'm going to go out there and do a good day's work. I'm going to document it on my 144, and I'm going to go home. And that's all I want to do. Don't bug me, don't bother me, don't harass me, don't treat me differently than any other agent, and that's it. So, if anybody has any questions, I'm here for any questions.
You know what? Before we get into the questions, let's watch a movie together. This reminds me of he's the Wiz, right? He was the big you will do what I tell you to do, and I'm gonna have a heart attack before this is over. But he's the Wiz. He's the Wizard of Oz, and Dorothy and Scarecrow and the Cowardly Lion and Tin Man. They come up and they're asking for they chopped off Conti's head, right? They chopped off Conti's head. In the Wiz, it was the Wicked Witch, right? And they brought the broom. Let's watch the movie. Let's watch it. Let's watch it together. This is fucking great, right?
And I believe my eyes. Why have you come back?
Please, sir, we've done what you told us. We brought you the broomstick of the Wicked Witch of the West. We melted her.
Oh, you liquidated her, eh? Very resourceful.
Yes, sir. So we'd like you to keep your promise to us, if you please, sir.
Not so fast. Not so fast. I'll have to give the matter a little thought. Go away and come back tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Oh, but I want to go home now.
You've had plenty of time already.
Yeah. Do not arouse the wrath of the great and powerful Oz. I said come back tomorrow.
If you were really great and powerful, you'd keep your promises.
Do you presume to criticize the great Oz? You ungrateful creatures think yourselves lucky that I'm giving you audience tomorrow instead of 20 years from now.
Oh,
The great Oz has spoken.
oh,
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. The great Oz has spoken.
Who are you?
Oh, I am the great and powerful Wizard of Oz.
You are? I don't believe you.
No, I'm afraid it's true. There's no other wizard except me.
you humbug!
Yes, it's exactly so. I'm a humbug.
Oh, you're a very bad man.
So there you have it. You know, it's the Wiz. So let's go back to Burke. Let's go back to Burke.
I have two questions. My first question is,
Yes.
that supervisor that, and I don't know who it was.
It was Lieutenant Ortega.
Okay. Did anybody question him as to?
Okay, so that authenticates the recording, right? There's no longer a question. Is that or is the ABC recordings the ones that I provided that I recorded Ortega in the Manhattan roll call room? That is now authenticated. The guy, Mr. Burke, the director of the program, has acknowledged that the voice of the recording is in fact Lieutenant Ortega. Thank you, Mr. Burke. Thank you, Mr. Burke.
Where he got that from?
I haven't yet. I'm going to Manhattan, so we'll see.
Well, on ABC 7, they did
Yeah.
release an email.
Oh no,
on
they
their
have
Twitter.
my
Where the
email.
sender was you.
Yeah, of course it
So
is.
who told you to do that?
The email that was written was an email. When you're in a position like mine, right?
No, who told you to do that?
I'm
Told
not
you
here
to do it.
I'm speaking. Let me speak. Who told me? I put out the.
See, this guy, this agent is pushing him. He said, "Who told you to write it? Who told you to? He's asking who gave the quota? Who gave the goddamn quota, Mr. Burke? Right? This is good. I mean, this is good stuff.
Email. I stand behind my email.
I stand behind my email.
The email is an indicator. To you or any of the supervisors, they may have felt differently.
This is called moving the goalpost, right? That's what this is called, right? He's moving the goalpost. Now it's an indicator. Before it was if you don't do it, you're fired, right? Now, or you're reprimanded, or we'll take your car away, or we'll write a bunch of fake raps. Now it's this is moving the goalpost. They're changing the meanings of the words. They're changing what things mean, and that's it's illegal, in many respects.
That email was based
Unethical.
on a range of agents and what they write. Some
Not a
agents are out
range.
there writing 2, some were writing 24, some were writing 16. So when you're looking at what people do, you have to focus on the individuals that you think may be writing less than they could be with the assignments that they were given.
But now every place is the same. You have districts that you'll go and you'll write 25. You have some district where you go and you can only get 3 and stuff like that. You have to also look at that,
Exactly. No, that's
Take that into
exactly a good
consideration.
point. Yeah.
And
And that's a fair point, because the supervisors should, and if you're out there and if you're in a district where you're not seeing violations, well then document it. Maybe, are there any lots out there? Are there parking lots that may have some debris that you could bring back from? Be proactive. Maybe you see a bunch of posters and you could jot that down. That's a job too. That means you're standing there. If there's no violations that you see, you can go, well, I see 15 posters. Can I at least do some addresses and bring it back and we'll get it to the posting unit? That's your job too. I think what may be happening is the perception from
See, it's still all about the tickets. There's no change there. It's all about, if you can't find tickets over here, go look over there. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna say, well, did you look at the posting? Did you look at did you look at then they'll start saying, well, did you follow someone around and see if their dog, if they didn't clean up after their dog? They'll do that. Or did you stand on the corner and watch people littering? Everything is about the ticket. It's not about, that's the quantitative measure of productivity. That is illegal. That because they're poorly trained and they're not trained to actually go out and engage the community. They're trained to write tickets, right? So that's what has to change. And he's not giving that change. He's just giving some sidestepping bullshit to damage control.
supervisors like myself and your supervisors will change. And you'll, like I said before, this change won't come in 5 minutes. It's going to come over the next period of the next few weeks, where we'll reach a new normal. Some people will do whatever they've been doing, and that's fine. As long as they're doing a full day's work, that's it. That's all we can expect. You cannot, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Well, if you're doing your job, that's the whole key. That's all you have to do. But we understand, and the people that really should understand about that issue of where productivity is and it isn't, is in the hands of the supervisors. Because when you guys get moved around, you don't know the borough. How can I don't even know where I am. How can I where the hell's this street? I may have to use my phone.
Okay, clarify. What he's talking about is when you move around, what they do is they take all the agents from Manhattan and then they put them up in the Bronx. And then they take all the Bronx agents and put them in Manhattan. And they do Brooklyn and Queens and they switch them, right? And the reason they give is that you're corrupt and you're making a connection with the community. So we got to pull you away from that connection. We're going to stick you somewhere else because you're being too nice to them, or maybe you're corrupt. You're taking some money. You're taking the money from them. You're taking the money not to write the ticket. That's the accusation here, right? And it's very subtle, but that's the accusation, that they uproot you from your job and stick you in a different district and say it's anti-corruption. But meanwhile, they're the corruption. It's not the agent, it's them. They're the ones instituting the corruption. So that now you know what it means.
I wouldn't even use it. Give me a map. Show me where I'm going. So, the transfers affect a lot of people. We're going to continue to do it, but I'm excited that you both have the same union. Maybe they can enter into negotiations with chiefs to adjust it, to change it, and stuff like that.
So he's saying that they're all LIBA now. They're all the same union. It used to be two separate unions where management was one union, the associate agents, and then all of the ticket writing agents were a separate union. Now they've just after this they discarded all those agents, all those agencies and unions, and now they have one union, one guy in a room. LIBA, LIBA, LIBA. You guys, it's look. Like I say, you don't know me from a hole in the wall. This is like a joke. This is a joke. These guys are playing you. You think I'm playing you. That's what they're trying to tell you inside. Oh, Conti, he's trying to play you. No, I'm not. You're being played, and I'm trying to point it out to you that this guy is a joker. This guy's coming in here lying his ass off, and you know it, and you can't say anything, or you won't say anything. You can, but you won't. Right? That's the difference.
So, and I know that transfers are difficult for everybody. So we'll see in the future how that goes. So,
On the behalf of the special,
yeah.
Just so you know, FYI, that since the broadcast, we have been having a lot of difficulties obtaining IDs and stuff like that. So, I mean, we haven't really had major productivity issues, but it's totally different. We're making like 5 and 6 stops, and we're not getting any IDs.
Well,
it's mostly because they know that they do not have to give us an ID. So
that's fine, because I know at the same time you're documenting non-ID.
Yeah,
Okay, so stop. To the general public watching this, you just heard the agent confess that when sanitation enforcement, these guys that are not police, they're just agencies, and they ask you, like if you're walking your dog or you throw a piece of garbage on the sidewalk, you do not have to give these people any identification whatsoever. You tell them, fuck you, I'm not giving you anything. And you're within your rights to do that. All right, so now you know that there's no, they'll stand there and beat on their chest and, because they got a badge and a radio, that you think that they're all that, but they don't have the authority to shake you down for your ID. They're not police. You didn't break the law. It's just it's litter. Right? So now you know.
Don't anybody in the room, if people give you a hard time, like because if I was a merchant, because the merchant has a point, and everyone in this room has a point too. So I'm not saying it has to be mellow. Protect yourself. Protect the department. Do not just back off and walk away and document it. Do not even, because that can happen. I'm amazed it hasn't happened more.
Yeah, in Manhattan, they had a form that you would be able to count your refusals, because that proves that we've been out actually working.
Yeah.
We don't have a slip to say that, okay, we stopped 8 people each, and we've only been productive with 1 summons or 2 summonses. We don't have that to protect our position, so that we can prove that we've been
But they don't make them anymore.
We don't use these here in the Bronx. I know in Manhattan they use these, but we don't use these here, so we have no proof that we've been doing them.
Sergeant Dowdy, do you get refusal statistics every day? Do they?
Only for whatever, if they tell me about a refusal.
Okay, so what to do in the future? Because I know at the night.
They're written down on the end, like when they.
Let's say if I ask, well,
say it again.
What to do? Just make sure we document refusals on your 144 so that we can tally it up.
Weren't you writing it on that other form? No.
Well, you guys work it out. The forms.
There's a spot for it.
Yeah. I'm not here to criticize.
If you don't give the agent your ID, the ticket is invalid. That's what they're arguing. So if you refuse to give your ID to a sanitation enforcement agent, you just now heard it from the horse's mouth that you're not required to do it, and the ticket will be invalidated. You'll go down to ECB and you'll beat the ticket.
I use the forms or not. I'm sure you'll get you guys will get it done. You had a second question?
Actually, it's more of a statement. I wanted to read something off to you.
And it's okay to make statements here too. Everybody can have their, a statement if they choose to.
Now, if you,
this guy is gonna blow him apart. He has one of the many emails that I have, and he's gonna read it right to Burke's face. he's gonna read the 10 ticket quota email. I have like I don't know how many people send. I have 1 or 2. And then another bunch of people sent me about another 5. So I have all these emails, and I've already published them. But now he's going to read it right to his face.
You can. I'm just going to read it off, and then I guess if you can kind of clarify this for me. This is from, according to the paper, this is from January 29, 2014, and it says, "From you to various."
Is this an email?
Yes.
May I see it?
Do
you have a copy?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a copy only because there's certain things that I'd rather keep. Certain names I'd rather.
Are you reading it off your phone or you?
Yeah, this is the only copy I have. But this is original because I do have. Well, I don't have, but there is a copy of this. But I'm gonna read this off, and you tell me if it's fake or not. It says, "Reminder: Captains, Lieutenants, Sergeants, on a daily basis, continue block-facing SEAs who issue less than 10 NOVs per day. Keep track of productivity. Keep track of daily productivity. Focus on low scorecard areas. The field supervisors should carefully monitor the SEAs assigned to block facing. Supervisors should give their captains a daily report about block facing activity in the zone. SEAs that need to be trained should be on a one-to-one basis with the sergeant. The sergeant should address any questions that the SEA may have so that the SEA better understands his or her enforcement of the city administrative code and recycling rules. Captains must be knowledgeable about block-facing activities in their zones and be prepared to give a report when asked by the Deputy Director, Deputy Chief, or Assistant Chief of the Enforcement Division." Now, when I get a chance to, only because, I don't want to, there's just certain names that are other than the captains that I don't want attached to this because it was sent around. First, my question is, what is block facing? Just to be certain.
Sergeants, what is block facing?
I'm asking you. No disrespect, but I asked you the question. If you ask me a question, they're not going to answer. So I just
I'm
want to know.
gonna let the
If you
sergeant.
can clear it up.
May I speak? The sergeants will answer, and then I will answer. Sergeants, block facing. How have you?
So the guy reads Burke's own email right to his face, and asks him a question. Well, what is block facing? Block facing is punishment. Now watch again. They're going to move the goalpost. Burke is going to move the goalpost. Block facing is, as Chuck Palumbo has said, as I have another 5 recordings if you want to hear how people describe it. It's basically a sanitation enforcement agent has a car. You get in a car and you drive around the community and you look for violations. You know, when I was there, that was the whole function, to drive around and find tickets. It's not like traffic where there's 10 cars illegally parked. You have to hunt around and survey the community, your presence in the community. And walking around it's punishment, especially when it's raining. So block facing was the word that they switched for foot patrol. Nobody's on foot, right? Nobody has to be on foot. There's plenty of cars. The idea that there's no cars, right? So here you're going to hear Burke switch the meaning of block facing. He didn't answer the question. The agent asked him, "What is block facing?" and he deflected it. He acknowledged that the email is his, though.
Explain block facing to your agents.
You can say the sergeant.
Who wants to start? Or captain? Captain. Here we go.
We don't use that.
See now, why are you laughing? Why are you guys laughing? It's not fucking funny, right? It's not funny. You know, people got run over by this bullshit, right? That these guys are threatening people to take away your car, they take away your badge, take away your livelihood, and you're in the room. It's so funny. It's not fucking funny. You know, this is the time to stand up to the guy and say, "Listen, you bastard. Listen, you scumbag. You're the one who told us, captains and sergeants, to tell them to write fucking 10 tickets that are done, right? And document it in the 206 book, right? It's not this part of it. I know it's funny, but it's not funny. This is the serious thing that you can do is stand up to this guy and run him out of the room.
Term much anymore.
You do it all together.
The term sectoring. When the email was written, it was blackfacing. Now we do what is sectoring. Anyone that we feel that may need a little extra help, well, this is what happens sometimes.
So you're hearing the voice of a captain. His name is Nieves. I already brought him up, right? Now that what they're doing is they're switching. First it was foot patrol, then it was block facing. Now they're switching the term to sectoring, right? They're moving the goalpost, right? The quote is going to come back, guarantee, right? This is what they're doing.
I don't give people a target. I never have.
It's lying.
Maybe years ago we did.
You did it every day.
For the last few years, we haven't done that. But there are people that give themselves a target. There are people that consistently write 6 or 7 summons.
He just said the agents give themselves a target. No, you gave them the target of 10. That's the target. The agents didn't give themselves a target. The agents don't have anything else. They don't have any other instruction other than to go out and write tickets, right? And the number is 10, you idiot.
Let's say they give themselves a target and they don't move from there.
Interrupt. Block facing is, I'm going to define it, because block facing is something that's been going on for a long time. When you want to make sure that you're hitting every section, every street in a district, you have to do what was called block facing. Now we call it sectoring because we use the same terminology as the commissioner uses when they do the sectoring of the trucks. It's merely putting people in a certain area.
It's a massive switch of terminology. That's what you're experiencing. This is lawyer talk, right? Burke is a lawyer, I think, right? He's a lawyer. This is lawyer talk. What they're doing is they're switching the terminology so that, we don't do block facing. We don't do foot patrol. We do sectoring. What does sectoring mean? Well, What does sectoring mean? I don't know. Can you tell me what sectoring mean? I don't know. What's foot patrol? I don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows nothing. But when you don't do it, then you know. Then you find out that you got a pile of fake write-ups this high, and you're screaming at the captains and the sergeants and the lieutenants to throw Conti under the bus, or anybody else that doesn't cooperate under the bus. So this is all, again, this is the problem. It's you see how very subtle it is, and this guy comes in like it's a big joke. Like you guys should be tearing this guy to shreds. You shouldn't have got out of the room alive, figuratively.
Making sure they're doing every street, every corner, methodically. The problem is that when there's a lack of cars and people are put on foot, people feel that being on foot is punitive. So I think that's one of the points that was made, that was their supervisor.
Unequivocally, undoubtedly, foot patrol is punitive. It is punishment. It always has been. I got 10 recordings of that if you want to hear it. Every single agent in every zone, every sergeant, every captain, every lieutenant knows that foot patrol is punishment. The only people that get foot patrol are people who fail to write 10 tickets a day, or other extreme. I know one other instance where a guy got foot patrol because he set a car on fire. Literally, the car, put the wrong fuel in the car, and the car went up in smoke or stalled or whatever. But other than that, I've never heard of anybody else going on foot patrol other than for punitive purposes only.
In the enforcement division that were treating block facing / sectoring as a punitive thing. The fact is that people are put on foot because they don't have cars in this division. The fact is that
right there, he's coming into your zone and he's lying to your face. You know that there's cars. There's always cars. It's called. You could double up agents. You could put an agent inside of another. See. Here's the thing about foot patrol. They don't really this idea that the sergeant is going to drop you off and then follow you around on foot. That's not really what they do. What they do, it's extreme punishment. You wherever the zone is. Like for example in Manhattan, foot patrol was basically you walk out the door on 130th Street and Park Avenue, and you walk around 10 blocks in Harlem, and you try to find tickets. And then when you're done, you walk back into the zone. There's no drop off and the sergeant's going to work with you. No, you don't have a car. Get out the door and go write some tickets carrying all your equipment. If it's raining, put on your raincoat and all your maps and all your shit, and like a train wreck, walk down the block and try to find tickets. It's punishment. It's punishment because you didn't write the 10 tickets.
Everyone, when you're issuing a notice of violation, must get out of your car. You cannot issue an NOV sitting in your car, and those people that are either disciplined or terminated. So block facing is a tool that's used by the department. It's used with trucks. It's called sector.
No, Mr. Burke, you are the tool. You are the tool.
We change the word towards sectoring. We do it in Staten Island. We do it with recycling. And while the sergeants and the captain may not be doing it every day in a methodical fashion, it's in reality what we're doing when we assign you to a location. So that's block facing. That's what sectoring is. Supervisors should not be using it in some sort of punitive way, that if an agent didn't write a certain amount of summonses that they were put on foot. So that, I think, is the main point about what the agent may have about block facing and the way management looks at it as a tool to place people in a certain area.
Well, that has been happening though. There's certain zones that strictly do block facing for people who do have less than 10 summonses, and it's like a punishment. So they have vehicles out there that I've been in Manhattan, I've worked there, and they have vehicles parked in the yard, but they did not issue them to certain people who've had consecutively days where they've written under 10 summonses.
We'll continue to look into that.
Okay, so there, the agent confronts him and says exactly what I just said, is that they take away your car if you don't write 10 tickets, right? She just told it right to his face. She said it right to his face. Right? I would have screamed it in his face, because especially when there's look, I was fired, right? That's a severe consequence, right? Right? She just told him right to his face. We'll look into it.
Any other questions? Okay, have a good day.
So there you go, man. That was some powerful stuff. Thank you again, Chuck Palumbo, man. That was some amazing, amazing work right there. So when I was, I'm gonna sing a song. You want to hear a song? I'm gonna play a song for you. I'm in a good mood today. I'm in a good mood. You know? Good mood. I'm gonna play a song. Play a song. Oh, got the guitar out. Kanye's got the guitar out. Oh shit. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountain to the prairie to the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
This is all you have to do. So that's really the gist of my whole being here, is just to mention that you must read this manual, if you haven't already. And if you read this and you do what it says, that's your job. Do a full day's work, document on your 144 what you do. You'll get backtracks during the day from a supervisor, and that's it. You go home. And hopefully you enjoy your day at work and you're not getting hassled by the community or anyone else in doing your job, because it's a hard job. So, how many people have actually read this? Okay, so we have 3 people, which is good. And most of the agents that didn't read it are agents that have been here a while. So what I would suggest is they do read it and take guidance from it. If you have any questions, just speak to your supervisor. So, any questions or comments?
So the regular recycling people, they're not to write 10 tickets a day. If they see 10 tickets, they write 10 tickets, of course, but it's not.
No, there's no, the key thing here is there's no number. There's no target. Yesterday, the day before, 10 years ago, I'm sure that's the mindset that the agent and the supervisors had. But when you're out there, the only thing that we can ask you to do is, if you see a violation, you issue it. If you don't, walk away, and that's exactly what it says in here. For you to feel like that, you shouldn't. You should really know that I'm there to do a good day's work. If someone, now the supervisors, it's a double-edged sword for the supervisor, because in their civil service standards, they have the requirement to think about productivity. It's actually mentioned in their civil service description of their job. So what does that mean? That means that they have to be aware of what their agents are doing. And that's it. Their job is to backtrack. Their job is to help you go out there and look for areas that could be dirty. Their job is to put you in a low scorecard area where there's more potential for a filthy city, because really our job is to help keep the city clean. And that's really it. And I know this is a totally different mindset. So it's kind of like in the history of enforcement, it's a staircase, and we're just reaching another one. So this is something that isn't going to sit in the minds of the agents in 5 minutes or 20 minutes after I leave. This will take a few days, maybe a few weeks. The sergeants have to adjust. Everybody's got to adjust to the new standard. So But you know, I had the deputy chief come up. He found the zone to be in great shape. Agents doing their work, sergeants doing their work. So I don't have anything negative to say. It's just to make you know that, you know, no one should mention target, number, quota, anything like this. So if they do, call me directly, email me, call me on the phone, and let me know. But, you know, that's I think the fairest thing to do. Just really have an open door. If the sergeants are being bugged by their lieutenants or their captains, you call me directly. And the same thing with the agents. You know, if you think you're being treated unprofessionally, and you're not being treated within the context of a command order like this, that's wrong. You know, we can't expect any more from anybody other than this. And and however the trends go, that's manager's job. The managers can look at trends. If I'm an agent, I'm going to know what I do. I'm going to go out there and do a good day's work. I'm going to document it on my 144, and I'm going to go home. And that's all I want to do. You know, don't bug me, don't bother me, don't harass me, don't treat me differently than any other agent, and that's it. So, if anybody has any questions, I'm here for any questions.
I have 2 questions.
Okay.
My first question is,
Yes.
that supervisor that, and I don't know who it was.
It was Lieutenant Ortega.
Okay. Did anybody question him as to where he got that from?
I haven't
That
yet.
you
I'm
know
going
of?
to Manhattan, so we'll see.
Well, on ABC7, they did
Yeah.
release an email.
Oh
on
no,
their
they
Twitter.
have my
Where the
email.
sender was you.
Yeah, of course it
So
is.
who told you to do that?
The email that was written was an email. When you're in a position like mine, right?
No, who told you to do that?
I'm not here. I'm speaking. Let me speak. Who told me? I put out the email. I stand behind my email.
For the 10 tickets.
The email is an indicator. To you or any of the supervisors, they may have felt differently. But that email was based on a range of agents and what they write. Some agents are out there writing 2, some were writing 24, some are writing 16. So when you're looking at what people do, you have to focus on the individuals that you think may be writing less than they could be with the assignments that they were given.
But now every place is the same. You have districts that you'll go and you'll write 25. You have some district where you go and you can only get 3 and stuff like that. You have to also look at that, you know.
Exactly. No, that's
Take that into
exactly a good
consideration.
point. Yeah.
And
that's a fair point, because the supervisors should, and if you're out there and if you're in a district where you're not seeing violations, well then document it. Maybe, are there any lots out there? Are there parking lots that may have some debris that you could bring back from? You know, be proactive. Maybe you see a bunch of posters and you could jot that down. That's a job too. That means you're standing there. If there's no violations that you see, you can go, well, I see 15 posters. Can I at least do some addresses and bring it back, and we'll get it to the posting unit? That's your job too. I think what may be happening is the perception from supervisors like myself and your supervisors will change. And you know, like I said before, this change won't come in 5 minutes. It's going to come over the next period of the next few weeks, where we'll reach a new normal. You know, some people will do whatever they've been doing, and that's fine. As long as they're doing a full day's work, that's it. That's all we can expect. You cannot, you know, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Well, you know, if you're doing your job, that's the whole key. That's all you have to do. But we understand, and the people that really should understand about that issue of where productivity is and it isn't, is in the hands of the supervisors. Because when you guys get moved around, you don't know the borough. How can I don't even know where I am. How can I where the hell's this street? I may have to use my phone. I wouldn't even use it. Give me a map. Show me where I'm going. So, you know, the transfers affect a lot of people. We're going to continue to do it, but I'm excited that you both have the same union. Maybe they can enter into negotiations with chiefs to adjust it, to change it, and stuff like that. So, and I know that transfers are difficult for everybody. So, we'll see in the future how that goes. So.
On the behalf of the special,
Yeah.
just so you know, FYI, that since the broadcast, we have been having a lot of difficulties obtaining IDs and stuff like that. So, I mean, we haven't really had major productivity issues, but it's totally different. We're making like 5 and 6 stops, and we're not getting any IDs.
Well,
it's mostly because they know that they do not have to give us an ID. So
that's fine, because I know at the same time you're documenting non-ID.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
are.
that don't anybody in the room. If people give you a hard time, like because they may, because if I was a merchant, because the merchant has a point, you know, and everyone in this room has a point too. So I'm not saying it has to be mellow. Protect yourself, protect the department. You know, do not just back off and walk away and document it. Do not even, because that can happen. I'm amazed it hasn't happened more.
Yeah, in Manhattan, they had a form that you would be able to count your refusals, you know, because that proves that we've been actually working.
Yeah.
So we don't have a slip to say that, okay, we count 8 people each, and we've only been productive with 1 summons or 2 summonses. We don't have that to protect our position, so that, you know, we can prove that we've been working. But
they don't make them anymore.
We don't use these here in the Bronx. I know in Manhattan, they use these, but we don't use these here, so we have no proof that we've been doing it.
Sergeant Dowdy, do you get refusal statistics every day? Do they?
Only for whatever, if they tell me about a refusal.
Okay, so what to do in the future? Because I know at the night.
They're written down on the end, like when they put it.
Let's say if I ask, well,
say it again.
What to do? Just make sure we document refusals under 144, so that we can tally it up.
Weren't y'all writing it on that other form?
No.
No?
Well, you guys work it out. The forms,
There's a spot for it.
Yeah. No, I'm not here to criticize use the forms or not. I'm sure you'll get you guys will get it done. You had a second question?
Actually, it's more of a statement. I wanted to read something off to you.
And it's okay to make statements here too. Everybody can have their, you know, a statement if they choose to.
Now, if you can, I'm just going to read it off, and then I guess if you could kind of clarify it for me. This is from, according to the paper, this is from January 29, 2014, and it says, "From you to various."
Oh, is this an email?
Yes.
May I see it?
Do
you have a copy?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a copy only because there's certain things that I'd rather keep. Certain names I'd rather.
Are you reading it off your phone or you?
Yeah, this is the only copy I have, but this is original because I do have. Well, I don't have, but there is a copy of this. But I'm gonna read this off, and you tell me if it's fake or not. It says, "Reminder: Captains, Lieutenants, Sergeants, on a daily basis, continue block-facing SEAs who issue less than 10 NOVs per day. Keep track of productivity. Keep track of daily productivity. Focus on low scorecard areas. The field supervisors should carefully monitor the SEAs assigned to block facing. Supervisors should give their captains a daily report about block facing activity in the zone. SEAs that need to be trained should be on a one-to-one basis with the sergeant. The sergeant should address any questions that the SEA may have so that the SEA better understands his or her enforcement of the city administrative code and recycling rules. Captains must be knowledgeable about block-facing activities in their zones and be prepared to give a report when asked by the deputy director, deputy chief, or assistant chief of the enforcement division." Now, when I get a chance to, only because, you know, I don't want to, there's just certain names that are other than the captains that I don't want attached to this because it was sent around. First, my question is, what is block facing? Just to be certain.
Sergeants, what is block facing?
I'm asking you. No disrespect, but I asked you the question. If you ask me a question, they're not going to answer. So I just want to know.
I'm gonna let the sergeant. May I speak? The sergeants will answer, and then I will answer. Sergeants, block facing. How have you explained block facing to your agents? Who wants to start? Or Captain?
Well,
Here we go.
we don't use that term much anymore, blackfacing. We use the term sectoring. When the email was written, it was blackfacing. Now we do what is sectoring. Anyone that we feel that may need a little extra help, well, this is what happens sometimes. I don't give people a target, I never have. Maybe years ago we did, but for the last few years we haven't done that. But there are people that give themselves a target. There are people that consistently write 6 or 7 summonses, let's say. They give themselves a target and they don't move from
May I
there.
interrupt?
Yeah.
Block facing is, I'm going to define it, because block facing is something that's been going on for a long time. When you want to make sure that you're hitting every section, every street in a district, you have to do what was called block facing. Now we call it sectoring because we use the same terminology as the commissioner uses when they do the sectoring of the trucks. It's merely putting people in a certain area, making sure they're doing every street, every corner, methodically. The problem is that when there's a lack of cars and people are put on foot, people feel that being on foot is punitive. So I think that's one of the points that was made, that was their supervisors in the enforcement division that were treating block facing / sectoring as a punitive thing. The fact is that people are put on foot because they don't have cars in this division. The fact is that everyone, when you're issuing a notice of violation, must get out of your car. You cannot issue an NOV sitting in your car, and those people that have are either disciplined or terminated. So block facing is a tool that's used by the department. It's used with trucks. It's called sectoring. We changed the word towards sectoring. We do it in Staten Island. We do it with recycling. And while the sergeants and the captain may not be doing it every day in a methodical fashion, it's in reality what we're doing when we assign you to a location. So that's block facing. That's what sectoring is. Supervisors should not be using it in some sort of punitive way, that if an agent didn't write a certain amount of summonses that they were put on foot. So that, I think, is the main point about what the agent may have about block facing and the way management looks at it as a tool to place people in a certain area.
Well, that has been happening though. You know, there's certain zones that strictly do block facing for people who do have less than 10 summonses, and it's like a punishment. So they have vehicles out there that I've been in Manhattan, I've worked there, and they have vehicles parked in the yard, but they did not issue them to certain people who've had consecutively days where they've written under 10 summonses.
Okay, we'll continue to look into that. Any other questions? Okay, have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
What? Put him on blast. See, I'm going to ask them. Y'all should have said block facing is what you told me what it was.
Niggas trying to book me for the what? That biggest book.